At a desert rest stop, I heard my son say, "Mom will never know. We'll just leave him." By sunset, he was the one losing everything. Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and write in the comments, where are you listening from? I wasn't supposed to hear what Marcus said to his wife, but the parking lot was empty, and sound carries differently in the desert, especially at dawn, when the only noise is the hum of vending machines and the tick of cooling engines. Just leave him here. We'll say he wanted to stretch his legs. I was standing 20 feet away, pretending to study a faded map behind scratched plexiglass. My hands had gone numb, and it wasn't from the morning cold. Vanessa's voice came next, lower, but just as clear. "Marcus, we can't just, Mom will never know. We'll tell her he decided to take a bus back, that he was being difficult." A pause. Jesus, Vanessa, this was supposed to be our vacation, our anniversary trip, not a charity, transport for my aging father. Aging father. I was 68. I'd driven them to the airport for their honeymoon 7 years ago. I'd co-signed their first mortgage when the bank said Marcus's credit score wasn't quite enough. I'd babysat their daughter Lily every Thursday for 3 years while they attended marriage counseling they never told me was happening. I heard the car door open, close, then the engine turned over. I stood there at that rest stop, exit 47, New Mexico, mile marker 394, and watched my son's silver Audi pull back onto the interstate. Vanessa turned her head once, briefly. I couldn't see her expression through the tinted glass, but I saw her hand move to her face. Then they were gone, merged into the sparse traffic heading east toward Albuquerque, toward the vacation rental they'd booked 3 months ago, toward the home I'd paid for. I walked back to the bench where I'd left my jacket, sat down. The sun was just starting to paint the rocks orange. It was pretty in that empty way deserts are pretty when you're alone. A semi roared past on the highway, then another, then silence. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Dad, we think it's best if you take some time to yourself. You've been tense all trip. We'll see you when we get back." I read it twice. Then I opened my contacts and scrolled past his name, past Vanessa's, past a dozen others. I stopped at a name I hadn't called in 3 years, Richard Morrow, attorney at law. He answered on the second ring. "Richard," I said, my voice steadier than I expected, "I need you to draft something for me. Today? Tom? That you? Haven't heard from you since the house on Maple Court, the one in my name. I need the deed transferred into an irrevocable trust by Monday. And I need the current occupants served with formal notice." There was a pause. "Tom, that's where Marcus lives." "I know exactly where Marcus lives," I said. "Every square foot of it." I could almost hear Richard, sitting up straighter. "What happened?" "I'll explain later." "Can you do it?" Another pause. Then, "I'll have the papers ready by 5 p.m. But Tom, are you sure?" I looked out at the highway, at the empty asphalt shimmering in the heat. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. I hung up and sat there for another hour. A family pulled in, 2 kids, a dog, a tired-looking father who smiled at me while his wife changed a diaper on the tailgate. They looked happy in that exhausted, authentic way young families do. The kind of tired that comes from love, not disappointment. Eventually, I called a rideshare. It took 40 minutes for anyone to accept a pickup from the middle of nowhere, but a guy named Dennis finally pulled up in a dusty Toyota. He didn't ask questions, just handed me a bottle of water and turned on the radio low. "Long day?" he asked. "Long life," I said. He nodded, like that made sense. We drove east into the climbing sun, and I spent the 3-hour ride doing math in my head. Not the kind of math I'd done for 40 years as an engineer, stress loads and material coefficients and fluid dynamics. The other kind? The kind you don't write down because the numbers hurt too much to see on paper. $42,000 for Marcus's college tuition at State. Another $18,000 for his master's program, when he decided engineering wasn't prestigious enough and switched to business administration. $32,000 for the wedding Vanessa's parents couldn't afford but insisted on having at that resort in Napa. The down payment on the Maple Court house when Marcus's startup failed and he needed to regroup, $75,000. The car loan I'd co-signed, $19,000. The credit card debt I'd quietly paid off when Vanessa's father died and they flew the whole family to Boston for 2 weeks, $11,000. I stopped counting at $217,000. That didn't include the time, the Thursdays, with Lily, the weekends I'd spent replastering their bathroom after a pipe burst, the 4 days I'd taken off work to help them move from their apartment to the house, my house loading boxes in 90-degree heat while Marcus supervised from the air-conditioned living room, conference call after conference call. "You're a lifesaver, Dad," he'd said, handing me a lukewarm beer when we finally finished at midnight. I'd believed him. Dennis dropped me at a motel off Route 40. I checked in, showered, and lay on a bed that smelled like industrial detergent and other people's choices. My phone buzzed again. "We made it to the rental. Beautiful place. Thanks for understanding." I deleted the message and called Richard back. "The papers are ready," he said, "but I want to walk you through this before you sign. This is nuclear, Tom. You understand that?" "Tell me what it does," I said. "The house transfers to a trust with you as the sole beneficiary and trustee. Marcus and Vanessa become tenants at will. You can revoke their tenancy with 30 days' notice for any reason. They have no ownership stake, no equity claim. If they try to fight it, the deed history is ironclad. Your name on the purchase. Your money for the down payment. Your signature on every document. They've been living there rent-free under an implied family arrangement, which you're now formally terminating. What happens to the mortgage? That's the beautiful part. You paid off 70% of it over the years through gifts they never declared properly. The remaining balance is in your name as primary. You can call it due, refinance it out from under them, or simply take possession. They have no legal leg to stand on. And the 30 days starts the moment they're served. If they refuse to leave, it becomes an eviction, public record. Very ugly for a man who styles himself as a business consultant. I closed my eyes, felt the weight of it, not the anger that had burned out somewhere around mile marker 350. What I felt now was clarity, the kind that comes when you finally stop pretending. "Draw up the notice," I said. "I want them served Wednesday. Tom, they're your family." "No, Richard. They were my family. Now they're just people who used to live in my house." I hung up and stared at the ceiling. There was a water stain shaped like a hand, or maybe a cloud. It was hard to tell in the dim light. My phone rang. An unknown number. "Mr. Brennan?" A woman's voice, young, uncertain, speaking. "This is Lily, your granddaughter." My heart kicked once. Hard. "Lily, sweetheart, are you okay?" "I'm fine. Mom and Dad don't know I'm calling. I heard them talking last night about leaving you at the rest stop. I heard Dad say," her voice cracked, "he said you'd be fine. That you were, like, a burden on the trip. A burden." "Lily, you didn't need to." "Yes, I did." She was crying now, trying to hide it. Grandpa, you drove me to soccer every week for 3 years. You taught me how to change a tire. You're the one who came to my 8th grade graduation when Dad had that conference in Denver. You're not a burden. You're not. I couldn't speak. The motel room blurred. I just wanted you to know, she whispered. I wanted you to know that I know. Thank you, sweetheart. I managed. That means more than you understand. Are you coming home? Home. Interesting word. Not to Maple Court, I said, but I'm coming back to town. And Lily, you can call me any time. Any time at all. Okay? A shaky breath. I love you, Grandpa. I love you too. She hung up. I sat there, holding the phone like it might dissolve. Then I opened my photos, years of them. Lily at 3, gap-toothed and proud, holding a dandelion. Lily at 7, covered in mud, after we'd built a dam in the creek behind the house. Lily last Christmas, wearing the telescope I'd bought her, already talking about astronomy camp. There were almost no photos of Marcus. A few from holidays, stiff and formal, but hundreds of Lily. I hadn't lost a son today. I just finally admitted I'd lost him years ago. Somewhere between the tuition checks and the mortgage payments and the endless requests that always started with, Dad, I hate to ask, but what I'd gained was clarity. And a granddaughter who still knew the difference between love and convenience. I slept better that night than I had in months. The papers were served on Wednesday at 9 a.m. I know because Richard called me immediately after the courier confirmed delivery. Marcus called me 6 times in 10 minutes, Richard said. He's very upset. I imagine he is. He wants to meet with you. Says this is a misunderstanding. Says you're being irrational. I'm being irrational, I repeated. Tell me, Richard, what's irrational about a man reclaiming his own property? Nothing. That's what I told him. He didn't like that answer. My phone started buzzing. Marcus. I let it go to voicemail. Then Vanessa. Same thing. Then Marcus again. On the 4th call, I answered, Dad, what the hell is this? His voice was shaking. Not with sadness, with rage. It's a deed transfer and a notice of tenancy termination. Seems pretty clear to me. You can't kick us out of our house. My house, Marcus. It's always been my house. You've been living in it because I allowed you to. Now I don't. Because of the rest stop? Jesus. Dad, you're really going to destroy your family over a miscommunication? Miscommunication. That's what we were calling it. I heard what you said, Marcus. Every word. And I've had 3 days to think about it. Do you know what I realized? Silence. I realized that you've spent 7 years treating me like a bank that occasionally babysits. And I let you. I let you because I thought that's what fathers did. But you know what fathers don't do? They don't abandon their parents at highway rest. Stops because they're inconvenient. We were going to come back for you. When? After the vacation? After you'd gotten your money's worth out of the trip I wasn't supposed to ruin? More silence. Then Vanessa's voice in the background, sharp. Let me talk to him. A rustle as the phone changed hands. Tom. Vanessa's voice had that practiced sympathy I'd heard 100 times. The one she used with difficult clients. I think we all need to take a breath and, you have 30 days, I said. The notice is legal and binding. I suggest you start looking for an apartment. Tom, please. We have a daughter. You'd put your granddaughter out on the street? I'd never do that to Lily. But you're not Lily. You're the woman who sat in the car while my son drove away from me. You had a chance to stop him. You turned your head and you let it happen. I didn't. 30 days, Vanessa. I hung up, blocked both their numbers. Then I called Lily on the cell phone I'd bought her 2 years ago when she'd started taking the bus to school. She answered immediately. Grandpa? Hi, sweetheart. I wanted you to know whatever happens between me and your parents, you and I are fine. Better than fine. I'm going to set up a savings account for you. For college, or travel, or whatever you want. And I'm going to text you an address where you can reach me anytime. Mom and Dad are freaking out, she said quietly. They got some papers today, legal papers. I know. That's between me and them. But Lily, I need you to understand something. What's happening isn't about you. It's about respect. It's about recognizing when people show you who they really are. Dad keeps saying you're being cruel. Maybe I am. Or maybe I'm just being honest for the first time in a long time. She was quiet for a moment. Then, can I still see you? Anytime you want, I'll come pick you up. We'll go to that diner you like, the one with the chocolate chip pancakes. Promise? Promise. After we hung up, I sat on the motel bed and let myself feel it. Not the anger anymore. Something else. Something that felt like waking up after a long, exhausting dream. My phone buzzed with an email. Richard had sent the trust documents, finalized and filed. The house on Maple Court was legally, irrevocably mine. No co-ownership, no ambiguity. I forwarded the email to myself twice, just to be sure. Then I started looking at apartments. I found a place 3 weeks later, a small 2-bedroom on the north side of town, near the park where I used to take Lily when she was little. It had hardwood floors that creaked in a comfortable way and a kitchen window that caught the morning light. The landlord was a woman in her 70s named Margaret who said she liked quiet tenants who paid on time. I can do both, I told her. She smiled. You look like you can. I signed the lease that afternoon. The day I moved in, Lily showed up with a cactus in a painted pot. Housewarming gift, she said, grinning. You can't kill it. I checked. Thanks, sweetheart. I set it on the kitchen windowsill. It looked right there. Mom and Dad are looking at apartments, she said, her smile fading. Dad's really angry. He keeps saying, you're going to regret this. Maybe I will, I said. But I doubt it. He wants me to stop talking to you. My chest tightened. And what do you want? She looked at me with those serious brown eyes that had always been too old for her face. I want to have breakfast with my grandpa every Sunday, like we used to. Then that's what we'll do. She hugged me then, fierce and quick, and I realized how tall she'd gotten, almost up to my shoulder now. After she left, I unpacked boxes in silence. Books, kitchen supplies, the photo albums I'd salvaged from my old apartment, the one I'd given up when Marcus had insisted I move closer to them. Family should be together. Dad, he'd said. I found a picture from Marcus's 10th birthday. He was grinning, covered in cake, holding up the model rocket kit I'd bought him. We'd spent that whole summer building it, painting it, waiting for the perfect weather to launch it. When it finally went up, Marcus had screamed with joy and hugged me so hard I'd staggered. Best birthday ever, Dad. Best ever. I stared at that photo for a long time. Tried to find the moment when that kid had turned into the man who'd left me at a rest stop. But there was no single moment. Just years of small choices, small resentments, small distances that added up to something unbridgeable. I put the photo in a drawer, not thrown away, just not on display. My phone rang. Unknown number again. Mr. Brennan, this is Susan Walters. I'm the principal at Riverside High School. My stomach dropped. Is Lily okay? She's fine. But I wanted to give you a courtesy call. Your son came to the school today and attempted to have your name removed from Lily's emergency contact list. He also requested that we restrict your ability to pick her up from school. I closed my eyes. I see. I told him I'd need to speak with Lily about it first, since she's 15 and mature enough to have input on her own safety contacts. She was very clear that she wanted you to remain on the list. Thank you, I said quietly. I appreciate you calling. Mr. Brennan, I've been doing this job for 20 years. I've seen a lot of family situations. Whatever's happening, it's clear that Lily trusts you. That matters to me more than parental politics. After she hung up, I sat in my empty living room and felt something crack open in my chest. Not anger, grief. The kind that comes when you mourn someone who's still alive. The eviction date arrived on a Tuesday. I didn't go to the house. Richard handled it, along with a sheriff's deputy who made sure Marcus and Vanessa actually left. They took everything they could carry, Richard reported. Vanessa was crying. Marcus was making threats, mostly hot air. But he did say, and I quote, "He'll die alone and forgotten." Probably true, I said, Tom. It's fine, Richard. I've made my peace with it. But I hadn't, not entirely. That night I drove past the house, my house just once. The lights were off. The lawn was overgrown. There was a dent in the mailbox I didn't remember. It looked smaller than it used to. Sadder. I kept driving. 3 months passed. I fell into a routine. Morning coffee on my small balcony. Freelance consulting work that kept my mind sharp without consuming my life. Sunday breakfasts with Lily at the diner, where she told me about school and boys and her growing obsession with astrophysics. I think I want to study dark matter, she said one morning, syrup on her chin. That's ambitious. You always said aim high. I did, didn't I? She grinned. You also said pay your debts and show up when you say you will. I'm working on those too. My phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize, but the area code was local. I should take this, I told Lily. Go ahead. I stepped outside into the parking lot. Hello, Mr. Brennan. This is Detective Sarah Park with the County Sheriff's Office. I'm calling about a complaint filed by your son, Marcus Brennan. My blood went cold. What kind of complaint? He's alleging elder abuse and financial exploitation. Claims you coerced him into signing over property rights while mentally impaired. I laughed. Actually laughed. Detective, I'm 68, not 90. I'm of sound mind and body, and I didn't coerce anyone. I reclaimed property that was legally mine. That's what your attorney said. Mr. Morrow has been very cooperative. But I need to ask you a few questions for the record. We talked for 20 minutes. I gave her dates, documents, bank records. She listened, professional and neutral. Mr. Brennan, off the record? This complaint is going nowhere. Your documentation is airtight, but I wanted to give to you a heads up that your son is escalating. Escalating how? He's been calling our office daily. He's filed complaints with Adult Protective Services, the county clerk, and apparently tried to contest the deed transfer with the recorder's office. None of it's sticking, but he's persistent. He's desperate, I said. That too. After she hung up, I stood in the parking lot for a while, watching traffic. Lily came out, her backpack slung over one shoulder. Everything okay, Grandpa? Yes, sweetheart. Everything's fine. She studied my face. You're lying. Too smart for her own good. Your dad's trying to cause trouble, I said. Legal trouble. It won't work, but he's trying. He's being an idiot, she said flatly. Lily, no, Grandpa, he is. Mom, too. They keep acting like you're the bad guy. But I was there. I heard what he said. And even if I hadn't, I'm not blind. I've seen how they treated you for years. They're still your parents. Yeah, and you're still my grandpa, the one who actually shows up. We drove back to her house, the apartment complex where Marcus and Vanessa had landed, a two-bedroom with thin walls and no yard. I watched Lily walk to the door, and just before she went inside, she turned and waved. I waved back. Then I went home to my quiet apartment and poured myself 2 fingers of whiskey. Sat on the balcony as the sun went down. The city lights came on one by one, and somewhere out there, my son was plotting his next move. I didn't care anymore. Or maybe I cared just enough to be sad about it, but not enough to let it control me. That was progress. The call came in November, just before Thanksgiving. Mr. Brennan, it's Susan Walters again, from Riverside High. Is Lily okay? She's fine, but we had an incident today. Marcus came to the school again, very agitated, demanding to see Lily during class. When we explained he needed to follow proper sign-out procedures, he became verbally aggressive. We had to ask him to leave. Is Lily there now? She's in my office. She asked if she could call you. Put her on. A moment later, Grandpa? Her voice was small, scared. I'm on my way, I said. 10 minutes. I made it in 8. Lily was sitting in the principal's office, her backpack clutched in her lap. When she saw me, she burst into tears. He was yelling, she said, in front of everyone. He said I was brainwashed, that you'd poisoned me against him. I knelt in front of her, took her hands. You're not brainwashed, sweetheart. You're smart enough to see what's true. He scared me, Grandpa. Those words gutted me. I looked at Susan Walters. What are my options here? Legally, both parents are still her guardians. But given today's incident, I'm documenting everything. If there's another disruption, we'll pursue a formal restraining order barring him from campus. And if Lily doesn't want to go home tonight? Susan hesitated. That's more complicated. I want to stay with Grandpa, Lily said, her voice shaking. Just tonight, please. I called Vanessa. She answered on the first ring. Vanessa, it's Tom. Lily's with me. There was an incident at school. I know. Marcus just got home. He's furious. He terrified her. A long pause. Then quietly, I know. Let her stay with me tonight. Just tonight. I'll bring her back tomorrow. Tom, if Marcus finds out, Vanessa, do you care more about what Marcus thinks or about what Lily needs? Silence. Then a shaky breath. Bring her back tomorrow after school. I'll handle Marcus. That night, Lily and I ordered pizza and watched old movies on my laptop. She fell asleep on the couch around 10, and I covered her with a blanket, sat in the chair across from her, and watched her breathe. She looked so much like Marcus had at that age. Before the world had gotten complicated, before everything had become a transaction, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You've stolen my family. I hope you're proud. I deleted it. Then I texted Richard. I need to discuss custody options. Can we talk tomorrow? He replied immediately. I'll clear my morning. The custody hearing was set for January. Richard filed a petition for guardianship based on Marcus's instability and Lily's clearly stated preference. Vanessa didn't contest it. Marcus fought it with everything he had. He's hired a lawyer. Richard told me in December, a pretty aggressive one. They're going to argue parental alienation. Let them argue, I said. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Marcus sat on one side with his attorney, a sharp-faced man in an expensive suit. Vanessa sat in the back, alone. Lily was in a separate waiting room with a court advocate. The judge was a woman in her 60s with gray hair and reading glasses. She listened to Marcus's attorney paint me as a manipulative, vindictive old man who'd weaponized his granddaughter to punish his son. Then Richard stood up. "Your Honor, I'd like to enter into evidence a timeline of financial transactions between Mr. Tom Brennan and his son Marcus over the past 7 years." He handed a folder to the bailiff. "You'll see detailed records of tuition payments, mortgage assistance, loan co-signing, and direct financial gifts, totaling over $200,000. The judge flipped through the pages. Her expression didn't change. "I'd also like to enter a sworn affidavit from Principal Susan Walters, documenting 2 separate incidents of Mr. Marcus Brennan's disruptive and aggressive behavior at his daughter's school." He kept going. "Phone records showing Marcus's harassment campaign. The police report from the rest stop incident, yes. I'd filed one, weeks after the fact, once I realized where this was heading. A recorded voicemail Marcus had left on my phone, drunk and furious, saying things I won't repeat. By the time Richard sat down, Marcus looked pale. "I'd like to hear from Lily," the judge said. They brought her in. She looked terrified but determined. The judge smiled gently. "Lily, no one's in trouble here. I just want to understand what you want. Who do you feel safest with?" Lily looked at Marcus, then at me. "My grandpa," she said. "I love my dad, but I feel safe with Grandpa. Can you tell me why?" "Because he listens, and he shows up, and he doesn't yell." The judge nodded. "Thank you, Lily. You can wait outside now." After she left, the judge looked at Marcus. "Mr. Brennan, I'm granting temporary guardianship to your father pending a full evaluation. You'll have supervised visitation rights every other weekend." Marcus stood up, shaking. "This is insane. He's poisoned her against me." "Mr. Brennan, sit down. He abandoned us. He threw us out of our home." "Mr. Brennan," I said, "sit down." Marcus's lawyer pulled him back into his seat. The judge looked at me. "Mr. Thomas Brennan, you'll have full custody for the next 6 months. We'll reconvene in June for a final determination. Do you understand the responsibility you're taking on?" "I do, Your Honor." "Then we're adjourned." Lily moved into my second bedroom the following week. We painted it together light blue, her choice. She hung posters of galaxies and nebulas on the walls, put her telescope by the window. "Is this really happening?" she asked one night while we assembled a bookshelf. "It's really happening. What if Dad challenges it again? Then we deal with it together." She was quiet for a moment. Then, "I feel bad, Grandpa. Like I broke the family." I put down the screwdriver and turned to face her. "Lily, listen to me. You didn't break anything. It was already broken. You just stopped pretending it wasn't. But he's my dad, and he'll always be your dad. But being a parent isn't about biology. It's about showing up. It's about putting someone else first. And sweetheart, your dad forgot how to do that. Will he ever remember? I don't know. I hope so. But you can't wait around for him to figure it out." She nodded, wiping her eyes. Then she went back to the bookshelf, and we worked in comfortable silence until it was done. Marcus tried to see her 3 times outside the supervised visits. Once he showed up at the diner during our Sunday breakfast. The owner, a guy named Pete who'd been serving me coffee for a decade, quietly called the police before Marcus even made it to our table. "Just wanted to talk to my daughter," Marcus said, his voice tight. "You can talk to her on Saturday," I said. "During your scheduled visit. You can't keep her from me. I'm not The court is. He left before the police arrived. But I filed a report anyway. Documentation. Richard had taught me the value of documentation. The second time, he waited outside Lily's school. She called me, terrified, and I picked her up from the principal's office. Richard filed for a restraining order. It was granted within 48 hours. The third time, he called at 2 a.m., drunk and crying. "I just want my family back, Dad. I just want everything to go back to normal." There is no normal, Marcus. There's just what happens next. I'm sorry. About the rest stop. About all of it. Can't we just... No, I said. We can't. I hung up and lay in the dark, listening to the sounds of the apartment. Lily's soft snoring through the thin walls, the hum of the refrigerator, the distant wail of a siren. I didn't cry. I was past that. The final hearing came in June, almost exactly a year after the rest stop. Marcus looked different, thinner, tired. He'd gotten a job as a project manager for a logistics company, steady work, if unspectacular. Vanessa had filed for separation in March. He was living alone now, in a studio across town. The judge reviewed the case. 6 months of reports. Every supervised visit attended. No further incidents. A letter from Marcus's therapist stating he was making progress. Mr. Thomas Brennan, the judge, said, "I'm making the guardianship permanent until Lily turns 18. At that point, she'll be able to make her own decisions about her relationships." Relief hit me like a wave. "Mr. Marcus Brennan, I'm lifting the restraining order but maintaining the supervised visitation schedule. If you can demonstrate 6 more months of stability, we'll revisit unsupervised access." Marcus nodded. He didn't look at me. "Gentlemen, I hope you both understand that this isn't about winning. It's about a young woman who deserves stability and safety. I trust you'll both keep that in mind." We were dismissed. In the hallway, Marcus stopped me. "Dad." I turned. "I just wanted to say," he swallowed hard, "you were right. About all of it. And I'm sorry." I looked at him for a long moment. Saw the kid from the birthday photo. Saw the man who'd left me at the rest stop. Saw something in between. "I appreciate that, Marcus. Is there any chance—" "I don't know," I said. "Ask me again in a year." He nodded. Then he walked away. Lily was waiting outside with the court advocate. When she saw me, she ran over. "So, you're stuck with me, kiddo." She hugged me so hard I felt my ribs compress. "Good," she said. "I like being stuck with you." That summer, Lily got into a prestigious science camp at the State University. 4 weeks studying astrophysics with actual researchers. She was terrified and ecstatic in equal measure. "What if I'm not smart enough?" she asked the night before she left. "Then you'll learn and get smarter. That's how it works. Will you be okay without me?" I smiled. "I survived 68 years before you moved in. I think I can handle 4 weeks." But the apartment felt empty without her. Too quiet. I kept expecting to hear her music through the walls or her laughter on the phone with friends. I filled the time. Took on more consulting work. Had lunch with Richard, who'd become something like a friend through all of this. Visited Margaret, my landlord, who was recovering from hip surgery and needed someone to bring groceries. And one Saturday afternoon, during Marcus's scheduled visitation at the supervised facility, I showed up. He was sitting alone in the waiting room. Lily had chosen not to come that week. She was allowed to decline visits now, per the court's revision. "She's at camp," I said. Marcus looked up. "I know," the supervisor told me. "She's doing well, really well." "Good." We sat in awkward silence for a moment. You didn't have to come, Marcus said finally. I know. So why did you? I thought about that. Because you're still my son, and I'm still trying to figure out if that means something. His eyes got wet. Does it? I don't know yet, but I'm not ready to give up on finding out. It wasn't forgiveness, not entirely, but it was something. A crack in the wall. A possibility. We sat there for another 20 minutes, talking about small things. His job, the weather, a book. He'd been reading about second chances. When I left, he walked me to the door. Thanks for coming, Dad. See you next month, I said. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Lily came back from camp transformed, taller somehow, more confident. She'd made friends from across the state, kids who spoke her language of quarks and quantum mechanics. I want to apply to MIT, she said on the drive home, or Caltech. Somewhere I can really study this stuff. Then that's what you'll do. It's expensive. I've been saving. And you're going to apply for every scholarship that exists. We'll figure it out. She smiled out the window. I saw Dad today. Before I left camp, my hands tightened on the wheel. Oh, he came to the final presentations, just sat in the back. He didn't try to talk to me or anything, but he came. How did that feel? Weird, but not bad. He looked proud. I'm sure he was. She was quiet for a moment. Then, do you think he'll ever be okay again? Like, really okay? I think he's trying. Whether he gets there or not, that's up to him. Do you think you'll ever forgive him? For real? I thought about the rest stop. The locks changed. The year of chaos and pain. I think I'm working on it, I said. Forgiveness isn't a switch. It's more like a door you open slowly. Some days it's open wider than others. That makes sense. We drove in comfortable silence after that, the highway stretching out ahead of us. On Thanksgiving, Vanessa called. Tom, I know this is awkward, but Marcus and I were wondering if maybe Lily could spend a few hours with us. Just dinner. At my new place. Have you asked Lily? I wanted to ask you first, Vanessa. She's 15. Ask her. Lily said yes. I drove her over to Vanessa's apartment, a modest one-bedroom in a complex near the park. Marcus's car was already there. You sure about this? I asked. Yeah, I think so. Call me if you need me. Anytime. I will. I watched her walk to the door. Vanessa opened it, smiled uncertainly. Lily went inside. I spent Thanksgiving with Margaret and her daughter's family. They'd invited me weeks ago, insisting I shouldn't be alone. The food was good. The company was warm. I felt more at home there than I had in years at Marcus's table. Lily texted me around 8. It was okay. Not great, but okay. Can you pick me up? I was there in 10 minutes. On the drive home, she told me about it. The awkward small talk. Marcus's careful distance. Vanessa's nervous energy. They're trying, she said. I can tell they're trying. That counts for something. But it doesn't erase what happened. No, I agreed. It doesn't. I'm glad I went, but I'm more glad to be going home. Home. My small apartment with the creaky floors and the cactus on the windowsill. Me too, kiddo. Christmas was quiet. Just Lily and me. Hot chocolate and old movies, and the small tree we decorated with mismatched ornaments from the thrift store. She gave me a framed photo of the two of us from the diner Pete had taken it months ago without us noticing. We were both mid-laugh, syrup and joy. Best gift I've gotten in years, I told her. You're easy to shop for, Grandpa. You actually like sentimental stuff. Guilty. She grinned. and handed me another box. Inside was a watch, nothing fancy, but engraved on the back, for showing up. Always. Elle, I couldn't speak for a moment. Do you like it? She asked, suddenly uncertain. I love it, sweetheart. I put it on. It fit perfectly. That night, after she'd gone to bed, I sat on the balcony in the cold, watching the city lights. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Merry Christmas, Dad. I hope you and Lily are well. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed back, Merry Christmas, Marcus. It wasn't much, but it was honest. Spring came. Lily turned 16. Marcus sent a card and a savings bond. Vanessa sent a bracelet. They were invited to the small party I threw at. The apartment pizza, friends from school, Margaret and her family. They came, stayed for an hour, were polite and distant and sad. After they left, Lily cut the cake. This is the best birthday I've ever had, she said, even with the awkwardness. Especially with the awkwardness, because it's real. No one's pretending. She was right. There was freedom in that. The second anniversary of the rest stop came and went without fanfare. I didn't mark it consciously, but I woke up that morning and realized what day it was. 2 years since the worst moment of my life had led to the best decision. I made coffee, sat on the balcony, watched the sun come up. Lily shuffled out in her pajamas, yawning. You're up early. Couldn't sleep. She sat next to me, pulled a blanket around her shoulders. You thinking about something specific, or just general old person insomnia? I laughed. Bit of both. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the city wake up. You know what's weird? She said eventually. What? I'm happier now than I've ever been, even with all the family drama, even with everything that happened. I'm happier. Why do you think that is? She considered it. Because I'm not pretending anymore, and neither are you. Everything's just real. Real. Yes, that's exactly what it was. I'm happy too, kiddo. Good. She leaned her head on my shoulder. Because you deserve to be. We stayed like that until the coffee got cold and the sun was fully up. Then we went inside and made breakfast together, and the day unfolded like any other. Ordinary. Honest. Enough. Marcus and I meet for coffee now, once a month. Neutral territory, a cafe downtown where neither of us has history. We talk about small things mostly. His job, my consulting work, the weather, Lily's college applications. Last week, he asked about the house. Do you ever go by there? No, I said. Why would I? I drove past it the other day. There's a young family, living there now, kids in the yard. Good. It should have kids in the yard. He stirred his coffee. I ruined everything, didn't I? You made choices. We all did. But I can't take them back. No, I agreed. You can't. But you can make different ones going forward. Is that enough? I don't know, Marcus. Is it? He didn't have an answer for that. We finished our coffee in silence. Before we left, he said, same time next month? Same time, I agreed. It's not forgiveness. Not fully. But it's something like hope. Tentative and fragile and real. Lily got into MIT. Full ride scholarships, grants, a stipend for research. When the acceptance letter came, she cried for an hour. I can't believe it, she kept saying. I can, I told her. You worked for this. We worked for this. She wasn't wrong. The day before she left for Cambridge, we drove out to the desert. Parked at a rest stop, not the same one, but close enough. Why here? She asked. Because this is where it started. where I started figuring out what mattered. We sat on a bench and watched the sun set over the rocks. Do you regret it? She asked. Any of it? The rest stop? Marcus leaving me there? Yeah. No, I said, because it led to this. To us. That's a weird silver lining. Life's full of weird silver linings. She smiled. You're going to be okay without me, right? I'm going to miss you every single day. But yes, I'll be okay. And you'll visit? Try and stop me. We sat there until the stars came out, and she pointed out constellations with the knowledge she'd earned. I listened and felt something like peace. Marcus came to see her off at the airport. So did Vanessa. We stood together in the terminal, an odd collection of fractured family, watching Lily check her bags. Take care of her, Vanessa said quietly. She'll take care of herself, I replied. That's what we raised her to do. Marcus didn't say anything, just hugged Lily when it was his turn, whispered something in her ear that made her nod. Then it was my turn. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. I love you, Grandpa. I love you too. She walked through security, turned back once to wave. Then she was gone. The three of us stood there for a moment, unsure. She's going to be amazing, Vanessa said. She already is, I said. Marcus looked at me. Thank you for everything. I nodded. Take care of yourself, Marcus. You too, Dad. We went our separate ways. And for the first time in years, that felt okay. I'm 70 now. 2 years past the rest stop. 2 years into a life I didn't plan but somehow fits better than the one I had before. Lily calls every Sunday, tells me about her classes, her research, the boy she's seeing who studies particle physics. She sounds happy, grounded. Marcus and I still meet for coffee. The conversations are easier now, less raw. He's in therapy, dating someone kind who doesn't take his bullshit, growing, slowly, into someone I might recognize. Vanessa sends Christmas cards. We're cordial. And me? I'm okay. Better than okay. I wake up in my small apartment and make coffee and feel grateful for the quiet, for the freedom, for the second chance I didn't know I needed. Last week, I drove past the rest stop. Just happened to be on that stretch of highway. I didn't stop, but I slowed down. Looked at the bench where I'd sat that morning, abandoned and angry and lost. I'm none of those things anymore. People think revenge is about destruction, about making someone pay. But that's not what this was. This was about recognizing my own worth, about refusing to disappear just because someone found me inconvenient. I didn't destroy Marcus's life. I just stopped letting him destroy mine. That's not revenge. That's survival. And survival, I've learned, is its own kind of victory. The road stretched out ahead of me, endless and open. I turned up the radio and kept driving toward whatever came next, and, for the first time in a very long time, I was okay not knowing what that would be. If you like this story, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions in the comments. To listen to more stories, click on the window on the right. Thank you for being with us.